Hey, making mastery learning a reality one day at a time. Hey, John Bergman here. We're trying to figure out how to do mastery learning one day at a time. This is the end of week 2 of my school. A couple reflections is I didn't anticipate kind of how slow the students were going to first start moving through the content. I had a kind of a schedule that I'd say you've got to get to X by this Friday, and a lot of students didn't. And so what I'm discovering is that especially early on in this mastery world, the students are still learning how to do mastery, and they're starting to get into the groove, but they're starting to work out a little bit slower than I anticipated. One thing I'm having them doing is they're taking mastery checks. These short little 5-question quizzes at the end of each mission, which is like a lesson. And in those missions, some students aren't being successful in their first attempt. Of course, that's okay with mastery. And so what I haven't done is I haven't communicated to them that before they take it again, they need to visit with me. And so that's a mistake that I'm making. And so I now need to be very sort of super clear. If you don't do so well on your mastery check, again, it's like a self-graded thing in the system, the learning management system, I need to double check that they know to come see me, because they keep making the same mistakes, of course, so that they're not getting the correctives. So, in the mastery learning cycle, the key is that if they have a failure moment, then they need to get a corrective. That means they need to spend some time with me. I need to go over with them what they're doing wrong, and they're just like trying it again, and that's not working out very well. So that's something I would really encourage you to do, is to be more explicit than I have been in terms of explaining that if this happens to you, don't just click again. I could set it up so that they had to go through me, but I got big classes and I'm trying to manage all the kids. I'm still trying to learn their names. It's just, week 2, and we're getting there. And throw on top of that, we've also got COVID issues happening. A number of kids having to quarantine due to COVID, and have kids in kind of through Zoom. So it's complexizing the implementation of mastery learning. It would be better if they were all in class, but hey, that's the reality that we're living in now. Another thing that went well today, in the last couple days really, is that my students did their first experiment. And I did spend a fair amount of time explicitly teaching them how to do experiments, particularly my chemistry class, because of the safety issues. There's definitely some safety issues. And so I did some more stand-up explicit teaching about rules. But then once they got started, it was really cool to watch. Some kids were working on the experiments, some kids were working on mastery checks and these little quizzes, if you will, at the end, after they've worked on, they've watched a video, for example, and then they've done some questions, and they take the mastery check. But then also they'll have a lab attached, if you will, for some lessons, because it's appropriate, and of course it helps them to see what they're hearing about and learning about in the videos. So those are some of my big takeaways this week as I am thinking through how to implement mastery. I guess the big takeaways I said at the top of the show was I didn't tell them explicitly that they need to get correctives, get some help after they have had a failure moment. If they did super well, that's awesome, we can move on. And in certain kids that's happening, but there's a certain percentage that's happening too, who are failing on their first attempt. One thing that's also helping me is I'm beginning to identify which students are going to struggle more than others. It's just, and that's going to help me help them direct to which level of mastery that they're going to achieve. Because in my system, there are 3 levels of mastery: a basic understanding, a clear understanding, and a deep understanding. And I'm going to steer certain students in one direction so that they can have success at the level that's appropriate to their ability level. So, hey, I'm just making mastery learning a reality one day at a time, following the principles of best practices that are in my book, my soon-to-be released book about mastery learning. But yeah, you can do it one day at a time. John Bergman out.